Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the webinars of challenges and opportunities of financing the agri-fishery SME sector in Cambodia. My name is Ratana and I'm the program manager at Energy Lab. I am also a moderator for today's webinar as well. So before we get started to the content, I would like to introduce you the agendas that we will cover today. Can you all see my screen? Cool. So today our webinars aims to share the challenges and opportunities of financing the SMEs and MSMEs in Cambodia's agriculture and aquaculture sector. And we also want to share the knowledge and experience from NMFI companies involved with supporting solar companies in this sector as well. And then you all will have the opportunity to see and review a case study of a finance solution for clean energy in Cambodia as well. So today, to kick off our webinar, Mr. Hugo from People in Need will give a presentation of the overview of the Switch to Solar project. And then Ms. Cecile will present about the studies of the assessing the end user financing mechanisms when distributing solar technologies. And followed by a presentation from a microfinance, Chomran Microfinance by Mr. Yannick. He will present the microfinance for the agri-fishery sector in Cambodia. And then after that, Mr. Nikolai, a country director from Atex Cambodia, will present the case studies of using innovative pay-as-you-go financing for bioenergy projects. And then this webinar will be wrapped up by the Q&A session at the end. So just a quick housekeeping to the participants before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box and then I will bring them up during the Q&A session. So I think let's get it straight to the presentation. So I would like to invite Mr. Hugo, a project lead from People in Need, to give the presentation of the Switch to Solar project. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the challenges and opportunities for financing in the green energy sector. I'm Hugo. I'm from People in Need. I'm a program manager of the Green Energies Department. I want to quickly present what's the purpose and objective of the Switch to Solar project. So I will share now my screen and present, do a small presentation on our project. So Switch to Solar is a project funded by European Union through the Switch Asia program and co-financed by the Czech Republic through the Czech Development Agency. Our vision and mission on this project is to work for a thriving agri-fishery market. And our mission is to add value to agri-fishery market by supporting the uptake of solar solutions to improve competitiveness and resilience. And for this, we are creating business opportunities for solar technology providers, facilitating access to finance, and this is why we are here today to discuss about this specific point, to enable new and innovative businesses through our incubation program run by Energy Lab, and marketing solar technologies to agri-fishery MSMEs. This project is implemented by People in Need, CVA, which is represented today here by Cecile, and Energy Lab, who is hosting this event. The project goal is to improve consumption patterns and behaviors in the rural areas of Cambodia. This is to say that we want farmers and all actors in the agriculture and fisheries sector to reduce their operational expenses on energy, at the same time reducing the carbon emissions, and promoting the usage of solar technologies. The key activities of the project are market analysis that we've been developing, and we've been sharing with all the stakeholders, doing capacity building to solar technology providers so that they can outreach to MSMEs in the agri-fishery sectors with their products, support the same solar technology providers to link with financial intermediaries. Again, that's why we are here today also discussing this issue in this webinar, and improving the solar business environment and creating synergies among all stakeholders involved. We are targeting the Tonle Sap region, especially Battambang, Kampong Senang, Kampong Tom, Pusat, and Siem Reap. And our objective by the end of the project, which will end in May 2024, it's to outreach up to 9,000 agri-fisheries MSMEs with raising their awareness on the usage of solar technologies and expecting that they will uptake these technologies. At the same time, we expect to work with around 20 solar technology providers, up to 15 financial intermediaries and institutions, creating 70 market channels, work with staff from ministries and provincial departments, and also with university students in our internship program, which is run by Energy Lab. So basically how the project is set up. So again, we are working with solar technology suppliers and helping them to improve their business channel and business modeling. This will be done by CVA and by People in Need. So then we, by training them and supporting them on their sales channel and business modeling, we will bring them to the market and to promote their products to agri-fisheries MSMEs. We will analyze the satisfaction of their customers, and jointly with the satisfaction surveys and the market research we've been doing and we continuously do, we will feed this information back to the solar technology providers so that they can improve their operations. At the same time, we have an incubation program that was already launched, the second one this year, with a hackathon that happened 2 weeks ago. We are sourcing entrepreneurs and startups who are working in developing technologies or services with solar technologies that for productive use in agriculture and fisheries. We expect to work with MFIs, with financial institutions, to provide funding to the solar technology providers so that they can grow up their business. And at the same time, and this is specifically why we are here today, to explore jointly with solar technology providers and the MFIs products, specifically targeting the end users, so financing solutions for end users of solar technologies. So basically, this is our project. We started in April 2020. We are now at the first quarter of the second year of implementation, and we will be working on this logic until May 2024. We will target specific value chains such as rice, horticulture, aquaculture, poultry, fruit trees, and others. And we are also exploring the potential of introducing a certain amount of technology such as solar water pumping, grinders, cold storage, solar egg incubators, hydroponic, solar dryers, farm assistant, cricket incubators, solar aquaculture equipment, and solar cooling systems. If you need any information about what we are doing, you can always consult our Facebook page or go to our website, and also contact us through the email contacts that we have here in the presentation. Thank you all. I hope that you enjoy this webinar, and thank you for all the panelists for attending this event.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hugo, for your presentation. So I would like to invite the next speaker from Surveyor. She is Cecile. She will present about the assessing the end user financing mechanisms when distributing solar technologies in Cambodia. All right, over to you, Cecile.
Thank you very much, Ratana, and hi everyone. So as Ratana mentioned, my name is Cecile and I'm the director and founder of CzDA. What I will share today with you is a little bit of the knowledge that we acquired both through the switch to solar project that was just now presented by Hugo, but also through the experience that CzDA has been having through PFAN, that stands for Private Financing Advisory Network, where since 2015, we've been working with solar companies and renewable energy companies in trying to help them raise funds, both to grow their business, but also to provide end user financing. So maybe before I'll just give a quick introduction as to why we're talking about financing for solar technologies. I think one of the key point of solar is that it has both benefits and challenges. Benefits, we all know them. It limits the grid dependency. So it's good for locations that have limited grid access or where the grid is not providing reliable energy supply. So it reduces the impact of power outages. When calculated over a long period, it can offset the higher energy cost. And it has, of course, benefits on climate change. Now, the challenges when you're distributing solar technologies are related to the fact that the energy cost of solar, you need to pay it right at the beginning. While if you compare it to other type of solution, like for example, when you are connected to the grid, the electricity, you paid it all along the life of the product. So comparing, like for example, an equipment that you'll power during 10 years, you pay the energy cost when you are with the grid during these 10 years, while in solar you need to pay an equivalent, maybe not 10 years, but let's say 7 years, but you need to pay it right up front. So that brings a huge challenge in terms of affordability and financing. The other aspects are the fact that the technologies can be less or more less available, and there are less number of products available, so with different specificities. So it's harder to tailor exactly the product to a farmer need. There is competitivity between the technology. So let's say a technology that is solar will have like 1 to 10 technologies they have to compete with that are non-solar. And of course, solar, we all know that the supply is not constant. So when there are clouds, you can have a little bit less energy. And so sometimes you need batteries or hybrid systems. So it means systems that are both connected to the grid and to solar to be sure that you have constant energy supply. So a crucial factor for end users to adopt solar technologies is access to finance. So on both aspects, for the end user, so that they can pay for the technology and the high upfront costs. But to pay for this, we need to find out innovative end user financing mechanism, as we will see during the presentation, but also for the technology providers. Like any other company, they need to finance their growth, and they need to finance their day-to-day operation. But they might have, for example, if they are doing in-house financing, they might need other type of financing source to be capable of doing this in-house financing. So the financing that we are talking about within the Switch program, it's both for the end user, but also for the technology providers, so that they can expand in rural areas that usually require more funds to be capable of covering this expansion. We talk about the last mile distribution. Let's have a quick look at the agriculture financing in Cambodia as it has been happening. So it's really interesting to see that in 2019-2020, agricultural activities were the second main reason for borrowing in Cambodia, representing 17% of household loans, this had already increased compared to 2016, where it was 15%. Approximately 40% of agricultural households reported at least one household member having a financial loan, and 58% of those households reporting that some part of the loan was used for agricultural purpose. Now, what is interesting is when we see the source of those loans, we see that 63% of those loans are provided by MFIs, 27% of those loans are provided by banks, and as it is usually the case in Cambodia, 7% of those loans are provided by friends or relatives. This is compared to the fact that in 2010, only 37% of agricultural households were considered to have access to loan. And of course, with the majority being households headed by male. So we see that between 2010 and 2016, there has been a huge increase in terms of access to financing, especially to finance agricultural activities. Just to give a quick reminder of usually what are the conditions of loans provided either by banks or by MFI in Cambodia. So by banks, in terms of loan maturity, it's usually more than 3 years, MFIs less than 3 years. In terms of loan size, traditionally, so of course, this is not true for everyone. You'll have MFI providing loans with higher amounts. Usually banks don't provide so much loan below, but for banks, loan size are over 100,000. And for MFIs, usually below, with the majority being much below, so around below 1,000 or below 1,000 to 3,000. And interest rates are between 6 and 11% for banks, usually, and MFIs between 10 to 18% for the highest. What is interesting is that in 2017, in April 2017, the interest rates have been capped at 18%, which has contributed to MFIs to move towards higher loan amounts, as very small loans were becoming too costly, especially the one below $500. In another interesting aspect is that in 2016, agriculture non-performing loans were below 0.5%. And this, when this knowledge was acquired, this increased lenders' ability to offer loans for the sector. So basically, because the repayments were quite good, MFIs and banks started to give out more loans or to develop more products for agriculture. So what are the financial opportunities and challenges in agriculture? So as we've just seen, the opportunity is that it's relatively easy to access loans for agriculture purpose, especially through MFIs. There are very low low non-performing loan rates. But some of the challenges are related to the high collaterals, the high interest rates, and the last point, which is really, really important, is the other debt issue raising more risk. So what we will hear a lot when you are asking about access to end user financing, asking questions to farmers, is that they have 1, 2, or even more loans already. And so, of course, an MFI, in most of the cases, will not disburse another loan if they already have that many loans. So the problem is not so much access, it's more the fact that people have too many loans already. So now, having a look at the 3 main solutions to facilitate the adoption of solar technologies. So you can have facilitate access to loan, work on business models, different type of business models with solar companies, and provide incentives. So I won't talk so much about the incentives per se. So trial period, payment terms, discount, subsidies. But there are new business models, so rent to own, pay as you go, fee for service, contract farming, that are interesting to explore to facilitate access to renewable energy technologies. And on the side of financial institution, there are key points that are interesting to explore to facilitate the fact that financial institution can provide interesting loans in the agri sector. The first one is increase the knowledge of the agri sector for financial institution. So as you will see in the slides that will be shared to everyone, we have given in these slides some examples. The other part is facilitate the access to finance for agri projects. So with specific financing projects. So we mentioned about the SURF that was developed by Nexus, AFD Green Microfinance that developed some a credit line mechanism for MFIs, or even what we are seeing now, it's crowdfunding platforms that are linking financing solution to SMEs, so like Kiva or CIC Investment. Another key point is facilitating relations between borrowers and lenders. So this either by facilitating the first contact or the application process. Two interesting examples, and I'm just mentioning the names here because of time constraint, but one is Agri-B, and the other one is Boost Capital. Boost Capital doing now mainly in urban areas, not yet in rural areas, but now in urban areas, doing completely digital application process for loan. And another point is to minimize later disagreements. This is something that happened also with renewable energy, because there are problems that might happen with technologies, either with end users not understanding perfectly how the technology is to be used, or the technology not being fully tested. And so if these technology aspects are not fully secured, this might create in a later period repayment issues. And also after the loan, after sales service is critical. And finally, the last point that is important to facilitate the provision of financing mechanism in the agricultural sector is facilitating payments to technology providers and to financial institutions. So either, as I mentioned, by tailored business model, so rent to own, pay as you go, leasing models. So it's basically people are paying directly to the solar company on a monthly basis, or based on repayment schemes that are defined with the end user. So it can be every 3 months, depending on when the farmer gets his revenue, or based on usage, etc. And for this, you can use some fintech. So as Atex will mention, there are some PayGo technologies that can be used, or optimize repayments and lower risk. And this lowering of risk can happen through guarantee mechanism. So there can be partnership between financial institutions and guarantor. And the last way to facilitate the payment is through local payment collectors or online repayments through solutions like Wing, for example.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Cecile. Right. Thank you so much for your presentation. So the next speakers, I would like to invite Mr. Yannick, a CEO from Jumran Microfinance PLC. So he will present on the microfinance for the agri-fishery sector in Cambodia, right? So just a gentle reminder to the attendees, if you have any questions or comments, please drop your questions in the comments box, in the Q&A box. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. My name is Yannick. I am the CEO of Jumran Microfinance. So let me talk a little bit today about our work in agriculture or agri-fishery financing. Okay, so in this 15 minutes, we'll just give a quick overview of Jumran, then talk about what is the profile of our agricultural financing, and then talk a bit about the importance of partnerships for a microfinance institution like us in doing strategic financing like the one we're doing in agriculture. Okay, so generally Jumran was set up around 15 years ago, and as of today, we're supporting around 45,000 low-income families for productive use, meaning that they take the loans to use for business development purposes. We have 21 branches operating in around 16 provinces, and our average loan size is at 750 USD, which is aligned to what Cecilia was talking about. And please keep these numbers in mind as well when I'll be talking about agriculture financing. You'll see there's some significant differences there. So 60% of our portfolio is unsecured, meaning that we haven't required collateral to disperse that loan. And that's a number that we believe is important, and we're going to continue trying to increase, again, to ensure that access to financing for those businesses and activities that require it, and where collateral is one of the main challenges to actually accessing that commercial financing. And then finally, we have an offer of non-financial services. So we do financial literacy, business development services, and some others that we're working with agri-SMEs. So 60% of our portfolio is currently in rural areas, and 30% of our portfolio is specifically dedicated to agri-financing. So that difference between that 60 and 30 will mean that it is a borrower who is living in a rural area, but who will use the loan for something that is not related to an agri-business. So it could be a trade or service or restaurant, whatever it is. So our main exposure within that 30% of agri-financing is first to rice. So that's overwhelmingly the majority of the exposure. And then to agriculture, fisheries, horticulture, poultry, and lastly cassava. And then a range of others, of course, but those are the five main ones we currently have exposure with. And what we do is two types of financing. So one, which is dedicated to households, so individuals, non-corporate entities who are interested in taking a loan for their entrepreneurial activities, generally for informal sector unregistered businesses, and then financing for registered SMEs. And here this is 100% for agri-SMEs. So that will include both those registered at the Ministry of Commerce, but also at Ministry of Agriculture in the form of agricultural cooperatives. Okay, so digging down a bit deeper into the agriculture financing. So what we've done is we've created a dedicated agriculture loan product. So it's AQL in our MIS, and we developed that product through partnerships and through basic field on the ground to understand how the different actors within the agriculture value chain needed to access finance. What were the barriers to that? What were the terms? What were the seasonalities, cash flows, etc., in order to then develop a dedicated product for these actors of the agriculture value chain. So the product is up to $40,000. So remember that our average loan size is 750, so a significant shift away from purely a microfinance product, I would argue. The loan term is between 24 and 48 months. It can be unsecured, meaning does not require collateral, and the interest rate is between 11 and 15%. So currently we have 68 borrowers in that portfolio for a total exposure of about 1.5 million USD, and 95% of that is unsecured, meaning that the borrower did not put down any collateral. In terms of the structure of the loan, so I put that there, but basically it depends on the type of actor that is requesting the loan, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But it can be a monthly principal payment, it could be a 6 monthly, it could be a bullet, meaning at the end of the period, it could be yearly. So we structure that principal payment frequency on the cash flows of the business, and that's something key that we look at in the agricultural sector, depending on the types of value chains we're involved with, to make sure that the product there is adapted to the cash flows of that business. Out of those 68 loans that I mentioned, these are the different types of ways that the entrepreneurs have asked us to, what they've asked us to use the money for. So split into pre-harvest and post-harvest activities. I'd say 90% is in pre-harvest, so essentially fish feed. So that's been one of the main items that these entrepreneurs have asked us to finance. Then the fish seed, building of ponds has been quite prevalent as well. Processing of fish feed, so that's actually working with those input providers who are then going to sell the fish feed to the fish producers. And then also people interested in buying land in order to then build a pond on it. And then for post-harvest, it's been for fish trading and wholesaling and vehicles by which they can then transport the fish that they purchased from the fish producers. Okay, so this is a good platform since there's different stakeholders involved in financing fisheries. I wanted to talk about the different elements why these partnerships are key for us. So the first is the kind of the philosophy that we work with in terms of providing debt, which is that if you're looking at providing debt as a development initiative, so meaning to reduce poverty, to promote economic development, financing is one of the aspects of that development approach, but it cannot achieve the objectives of poverty reduction primarily by itself. So it needs a range of actors who are going to address the various challenges to the different groups that we're going to finance. So specifically in aquaculture, we're working with a number of partners like CAST, for example, the Cambodian Agriculture Association, which has been created by that group, and a number of other actors basically who are going to support the different needs of those borrowers in a variety of ways, which we cannot do. We can provide financing. We have some non-financial services that can help to address some points, but we cannot address the full need of those entrepreneurs. So it's very important for us, if we want to do holistic development, to work with these partners, which is a little bit associated to that. But I think this is, while the partnerships I talked about before in terms of services is outwards facing, inwards facing, again, we don't have expertise in all different value chains and all different sectors we work with. So having those partnerships helps us to work in an environment where we have people who understand and can help advise us on product development, on what the risks are, on how to structure loan products, and on how to target that financing across the value chain. The other point, which is very important as a financial institution, is that it's a controlled market environment. So if we're working with a partner where there's registered members who are going to be part of a project, those members are going to be integrated into a controlled market structure and are going to be supported in a holistic way, as I just mentioned before. So that's an important risk reduction mechanism for us, to know that when we finance this borrower, we're also contributing to a general effort where the different steps of inputs, of market, of access to energy, of a whole variety of aspects have already been integrated, and that's an important risk reduction for us. Secondly, it allows us to strategically work in the value chain. So rather than trying to find input providers, seeing how they who are they linked with, and trying to find the exporters or whatever it is, we already have within a partnership scheme these actors coming together, strategically working towards building a more efficient and more structured value chain. And there we can see where are the financing gaps. Where is there an issue of liquidity? Where is there an issue of investment? Where is there an issue of eligibility for these different actors to access financing? And we can really develop products across the value chain that help to structure it and in the end help to improve pricing at which farmers will get will sell the price, and also when they will get the payment. One of the big issues in agriculture for farmers is the price at which they sell the product and the timing at which they get their payment. So by working strategically in the value chain with partners, we can address both those points. And lastly, of course, there's an efficiency point in terms of working with partnerships, which is that we can, through this fisheries ecosystem, have partners refer to us who we know will already have been screened, will have received a range of support in order to make sure that their access to markets and their businesses have more chance of succeeding. Thank you very much. That's for me. I appreciate time and happy to answer any questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yannick. You're very on time. All right. So, attendees, if you have any questions, please drop your questions in the Q&A box. Yeah. So for the next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Nikolai, a country director from Atex Cambodia. So we present the case study of the pay-as-you-go financing for the bioenergy projects. Yeah. Yannick, you can start now. Sorry, Nikolai, you can start now.
Yeah, can you hear me? Somebody switched off my video. So are you able to hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm not able to switch on my video, so you can't see me. Now I think we're getting it. Okay, yeah, just one sec. Fantastic, everyone. Thanks, Ratana, for the introduction. My name is Nikolai. As Ratana said, country director of Atex here in Cambodia. I'll share with you a little bit about the problem we're dealing with, the problem we're trying to solve. First, I'll talk about Atex, what's behind Atex, and I will also go a little bit deeper into the solution we have found to the challenges, referring to some of the issues we've heard in some of the presentations before. Yeah, the main topic we're addressing is lack of access to modern cooking. 4 billion people around the globe lack this access. What is unmodern cooking? What is the kind of cooking they have access to? It is cooking with biomass, like wood, like charcoal, gas, LPG, or butane. What makes these cooking sources unmodern? It's they are inefficient. They lose part of the energy when being burned and used. They are unhealthy. There's data saying that more people die from smoke inhalation every year than from traffic accidents. And exposure to these smokes, like you can see in this image here in the kitchen, is very bad for your health, obviously. They're inconvenient. They're not modern because they're inconvenient. You need to collect wood, you need to start a fire, that takes time. You need to clean a wood-fired kitchen, it takes even more time, many hours spent on this. So that's very inconvenient and inefficient. And obviously they are harmful for the environment. So what's bad for you, for your lungs, can't be good for the planet, causing air pollution. That's of course something to avoid. That makes it unmodern cooking. We are here to solve clean cooking. That's Atex Vision. We're here to solve clean cooking. Our goal is to become the leader in clean cooking globally by the end of this decade. We think this problem of lack of access to modern cooking, to clean cooking, can be solved in this decade. And we're here to do that. We're here to do this with what we think is disruptive technology, and I'll tell you a little bit more what we are doing. We have two main products, main areas we're currently active in. We're known for the biodigesters. You can see here on the right. I'll talk a little bit more in the next chart about what it is and what's behind it. It's basically an off-grid solution working with small farmers, a biodigester turning cow manure and green waste into biogas and fertilizer. And we have an off-grid solution on the right side, modern magnetic induction stoves. We've started to launch them this year under the brand of eCook. They're cheaper, cleaner, more efficient, and these are accessible for people who are connected to the grid in Cambodia. I'll quickly explain that you understand our product. It's important to understand because the financing is connected to the character of the product. This is our biodigester. You can see it here. Basically, it's a big tank, 3.5 cubic meters on your farm at the back of your house. You fill it with manure. Can be green waste, can be toilet connected. So you can connect the biodigester to your toilet and then run it on animal manure, green waste from your kitchen, and also human feces from your toilet. You then let it digest, basically like a cow's stomach. It starts to digest what you fill in there, and it breaks down the components of the stuff that you put into the biodigester and converts them into two outputs. One output is the biogas that has been produced for daily cooking. It is directly connected to the kitchen. About 1,000 liters of biogas per day are produced by our biodigesters. And the second output is coming out on the other side is a bioslurry. It's like a liquid fertilizer that you can use for your crop. It's very beneficial for rice farmers, for vegetable farmers. It increases your yield between 10 to 30%. It's like rocket fuel for your plants. And this biodigester is connected to a kitchen, to your kitchen, to the farmer's kitchen. So there's a specific double stove, gas stove running on biogas. It's designed for biogas, and there's a rice cooker that has a warming function. Farmers love this, and you can see this image to the image we've seen before, somebody blowing and keeping a fire lit. This is quite a big step ahead towards a more modern cooking for farmers. The gas and the fertilizer are for free. All you have to do every day is to fill the biodigester with manure. You need between 2 to 3 cows. You need about 2 to 3 cows, or alternatively 5 to 6 pigs. That's kind of the size of a small farm. So it's perfect for farmers who are off the electricity grid, and they love the fertilizer that's coming with it. Our second option, or second bigger product for the on-grid customers is what you see here in this chart. It's our eCook. It's a magnetic induction stove. We've mainly sold it online this year, so it's our first e-commerce project we've started in Cambodia. It's basically a magnetic induction. It's the most advanced and most efficient cooking source made available at the moment, and we're giving this sort of top-notch technology to the bottom, or to the base of the pyramid. Induction stoves are the highest energy efficient cooking sources. They're about 95% energy efficient, so you're wasting, or you're losing only about 5% when you use these. I'll spare you to explain how exactly it works. You can Google it. Yeah, this is made accessible to people who are on the grid. And the advantage of this is it's easy and fast to use. You switch it on and it's there. You plug it in and you can use it. It's clean. You're obviously not exposed to the smoke like with biomass fueled cooking sources. Very convenient. You don't need to collect wood. You don't need to buy gas bottles. It's all there. It needs specific pots with a high magnetic steel proportion to conduct the electricity. We deliver these with the stove. They come with the stove, and you of course need a connection to the grid. It's not working off grid. Our understanding is that about 85% of Cambodian households are connected, so we're on the right way in Cambodia to make this accessible. These two solutions I shared with you, the impact is pretty straightforward. They save money. You get either energy for free or cheaper than the cooking sources you've used before. It obviously saves time. You don't spend time collecting your cooking fuel, preparing your stove, lighting a fire, cleaning it. So lots of time saved. It obviously saves health. It saves your health and doesn't expose you to the smoke, and that finally also saves the environment. causes less pollution. Technology comes at a price. Our products are not cheap. The Biodigester, the big unit with a stove and a rice cooker, we sell them for $810. And the e-cook you've seen, we sell it for $270. So this represents pretty classically the case that Cecile mentioned in her presentation, this need of a big upfront investment into an energy source before you can actually use it. So how do we do this? How do we make these products, despite their price, available to the bottom of the pyramid? Here comes the actual element of this case study. Cecile also mentioned it in her presentation. PayGo, pay as you go, pay as you save, whatever you want to call it, has been very popular in the solar industry for quite a time already. Here's the basic idea. The customer pays in monthly installments. It's $30 for the Biodigester per month over a period of 27 months. No collateral, no security. We've heard about that in Yannick's presentation. There were a couple of questions around that also. No collateral is needed. The process is the following. A customer, of course, gets in touch with our sales team or online. They sign up. They can try out the product for free. We've got a brand promise guarantee where they can trial it, and if they don't like it, they can return it to build up their trust. We do a simple credit assessment call. We sometimes require some documents. We look into what loans they already have to service, and we assess the risk for us. And then we install the unit on the customer site. Our technicians or consignees do that. The customer then starts to save money on a daily basis. They start saving money by not spending money on cooking fuel, not for fertilizer. They have lower health costs because they're living healthier, and they save time, which they can use for generating additional income. They can pay these monthly installments via Wing Money, either on their phone if they have, or at the Wing kiosk in their village. And we're looking into adding some of the very popular banking apps in Cambodia also to our payment methods in the future. They then receive, when they have paid their installment, they receive a code on their phone as an SMS. They key in that code into this little unit on their wall and pay as you go, or as they save for the next month where they have just saved money. They're able to use the unit and enjoy the gas and the fertilizer. And we this helps to break down that full price into feasible monthly installments. If they're late, if they're not paying, we can interrupt the gas supply through this box from a distance as a gentle reminder to pay. Our customer service team then calls up the customer, finds out what is the problem. In most cases, reminds them they have forgotten, they pay, they get a code, they can use it again. In difficult cases, they're able to restructure their payments. Restructuring means paying lower amounts for a limited period of time. And as I mentioned, no collateral required. So for our own security, as a last resort, if a customer is permanently not able to pay, we're able to claim that unpaid unit back. The positive thing is it's not like a collateral where the bank takes your rice field or your motorbike. It's actually the unit that we have financed and we're just taking it back. So that's makes it quite attractive for the customers. We've been doing this since 2019. Launched PayGo 2019. Prior to that, we were working with microfinance institutions. So we would meet customers, would meet farmers. They loved the solution. We would refer them to other microfinance institutions. They went through their process and then they got back to us, and we would service them. Now this we have simplified because we've taken out this step that makes it a lot simpler. We are basing this on best practice from the solar sector. We're the first biodigester company who is using PayGo so far. We're quite proud of that. For us, it has been a game changer for several reasons. It really has boosted sales and has reduced the perceived risk by the customer. The customer realizes that they're not putting a collateral on the table. They're not putting themselves under risk. If something bad happens, they are always able to exit the relationship with us relatively easy. We try to avoid that, but it's possible. The process is a lot easier. The process is a lot simpler. We don't need that additional involvement of an external loan facility. We can move a lot faster, and that's important for us to get to scale. And it's a lot clearer and more flexible for our customers also. Benefiting from the mobile money has been another big important factor for PayGo and our units to grow as quickly. As you can see in the chart down here, it's a little bit older, but the general tendency is still correct. Mobile money is exploding. You can see that in Cambodia, and PayGo is fully integrated into that. In the long run, there are also very exciting opportunities through the data connectivity of our units. Our eCook has a GSM unit in there, so we are connected to that unit. We are able to track the use of the unit. We are able to identify problems the customer might have, even risks or dangers. We can alert them and say, there's something wrong with your unit. But we're also able to document the use and document our impact with that. And that's very important for our loan creditors and investors to prove the impact we have, to prove the usage of our units. And it's fantastic for us in the future to document the impact and turn that into carbon credits. So here, just to finish off really quickly, the impact we've reached so far. We're in Cambodia mainly, but we've also launched last year in Bangladesh, so we're in 2 countries so far. From little things, big things grow. We are at the moment at about 12,000 beneficiaries. We've reached about 8,000 tons of greenhouse gas reductions over the period, and we've sold over 2,000 units. Majority of these are biodigesters because we just started with eCook. We've been able to reach quite a few people in Cambodia and Bangladesh, and we're looking forward to grow and scale this up and continue in other countries. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nikolai, for your presentation. So I think now it's time for Q&A sessions. So participants, please drop your questions in the Q&A box. So I would like to invite the panelists to join the Q&A sessions. Cecile, Hugo, and Yannick, please turn on your video. Yep. Cool, thank you so much. So I think I will start the questions to Hugo first. So we received a questions from a participant. So he just asked, like, are there any commercial banks besides microfinance in the switch to solar project? Because you mentioned that it was listed that there are only 15 microfinance in the project. Yeah.
Thank you, Ratana. Thank you for the question. When we say up to 15 financial institutions, it's the institutions that we predict that we will get in touch with, and it's not only microfinance institutions. Obviously, there's room for commercial banks, but we are talking about also other mechanisms of finance, like impact investments. So it's when we say 15, it's to work or to have an interaction up to 15 different institutions. It's not limited to MFIs.
All right, thank you so much, Hugo. And we have one question for Cecile. So a participant asked, like, are there any sample financing programs or mechanisms that specifically target the technology suppliers rather than the end users? Yeah.
So yeah, what I was telling Marga was so far there has been in the past, and we have the example of what Chamran is trying to develop with Switch. So that's what we are trying to do with Switch. ADB was developing such a program in the past. Now we are trying to identify and to develop to help develop new ones with the information that we have. But as of now and currently what I know in Cambodia, I don't think there are specifically.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cecile. We received a lot of questions for Yannick, kind of like several questions. So one participant asked, what are the eligibilities for clients to obtain loans from Jumran Microfinance on the unsecured basis? Yeah. Yannick, sorry, you are on mute.
Great, thank you. Maybe to just stay within the topic of the agriculture financing, which has loans up to $40,000, which are unsecured, which I think is something that is unusual. So as I mentioned, we work this program in a partnership capacity. So we have a number of different actors who are basically identifying agriculture business actors to participate in that program. Then they refer that potential borrower to us. So they then, through that referral process, become eligible for that agriculture loan. That being said, which allows for to be uncollateralized up to $40,000. That being said, we have also had the case of a non-registered member coming in, and then us doing the referral the other way. So saying, here's an agriculture actor, would you be interested in accepting another actor in the program and going in that way? And so now we're exploring, looking at opening that up in a more proactive way. It's not like it's closed now, but it's just through the process. This has been going on about 6 months, so it's relatively new. And so basically, the right now the point is contact us if you're an actor in the agriculture sector, and then we'll talk about the eligibility. The uncollateralized will depend on a number of things, but essentially the loan size and being part of that program are going to be some of the key factors in terms of eligibility, uncollateralized up to $40,000.
Thank you so much. And he also want you to clarify about the 90% unsecured in fisheries loan as well. He want to ask, like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, by that numbers. Yep.
So, so it means that out of the $1.5 million that we have exposed currently in the this agriculture program, 95% of that $1.5 million is unsecured, meaning has no collateral attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he also asked, will the insurance schemes for agriculture sector, is it in any current portfolio as well?
Yeah, so yeah, I feel that question. That's a really good question. We are trying to develop a parametric crop insurance. So it's for aquaculture. I haven't really thought about that specifically, but I'm sure there's needs there that we can explore. Right now, it's all in development. The offer of crop insurance right now is very limited, and so actually we're not licensed insurance. We don't have the license to do that, but we are looking ways to partner with those who have the interest in developing those products. So hopefully some good news to come on that in the next few months.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Yannick, for your answers. We also have some questions for Nikolai as well. So what are the household purchasing reasons for the PayGo systems of the biogas?
That's a very interesting question. We come from a clean cooking angle, but our customers are very free gas, and fertilizer is obviously a hot thing that they see. We always thought it's about the cooking and the gas, but we realize more and more that for farmers, this what I call rocket fuel, this fertilizer that comes out, is very often the main driver to buy it. We call these smart farmers. These are farmers who are a little bit more interested in new stuff, and so the fertilizer is slightly ahead of the opportunity to get free gas. Clean cooking is on people's mind, of course, but they usually come from these two practical angles. What is coming out of the unit?
Yeah, and then we also have the other following up questions like, how do your customers become aware and purchase the PayGo system?
Yeah, it's a complex question. I don't want to take over too much of that. We in the field, on the phone, and online, and more, hopefully online. I mentioned our e-commerce pilot with not the Biodigester, but with the e-cook model. That's really exciting. You can keep the customer acquisition incredibly low. That's really great. And this we need to grow. In the bigger picture, also our field sales approach will probably be reduced more and more. We'll generate leads, establish connections to our customers online and through partnerships. So have other people help refer to us, meet people, advertise online, and get in touch with people online. And then we handle this on a centralized call center in Phnom Penh. We have a couple of people who interact with the farmers. So you don't always need to go to the farmer and to the farm, which many people think. You need to go there and see them.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Nikolai. I think we're almost running out of time, but we will accept one more question. So I think this is really interesting questions. So I think I will refer these questions to maybe Cecile. What is the financial incentive for those agri-fishery SMEs who switch to solar or renewable energy, or any matching grants? Like, So I think these questions can be answered by Yannick or Cecile. We want to hear your perspectives as well.
Okay, it depends. Financial incentives. There are a few programs, but for me, the main reason to switch to renewable energy is because it needs to make finance be this one. Economically, it's interesting, or it can facilitate some aspects of your business. And then, of course, you can look at programs like, for example, Harvest 2 that is currently giving out grants to facilitate investment in solar for logistic agri companies working in the agriculture sector in logistic. There's probably going to be UNIDO program disbursing some grants to facilitate improvement in all the sanitation in post-harvesting in the aquaculture sector. So there are grants mechanism, but it shouldn't be, for me, the main driver to switch to renewable energy. I think that would be my part of the answer. And if they want any more information, they can contact us more specifically, and we can look based on the different case, what could facilitate the adoption of solar. Or renewable energy.
Cool.
Yannick?
Good. Thank you so much, Cecile. I think we have one more questions. we received a lot of questions. So I'm sorry, participant, we need to select some questions as well. So I think this is the questions for Yannick from Jumra Microfinance. So he asks, if agriculture cooperatives need financing support to expand their agriculture value chains, such as cassava, cashew nuts, can they apply for the financing from Jumra Microfinance? And if so, what kind of support or what kind of paperwork require, or any collateral requirements?
Thank you very much. So the main work in financing agri SMEs we've been doing for the past 2 years has been with agricultural cooperatives. And we have done some work with those in cashew in PayGo, namely. So short answer is yes, definitely. And uncollateralized access to those loans is definitely something we're promoting, because we understand that for ACs, one of the main challenges is the collateral requirement. So ACs is actually one of our primary target groups for agri-SME financing. We just signed a partnership agreement with the Cambodian Agricultural Cooperative Alliance a couple of weeks ago, looking to have roll out of that financing program, and which includes support in terms of business development, market planning, and also accounting software, if the AC has interest in that. Please contact us so that we can give you more details. My email is yannick@chimran.com. So you can just write me, but otherwise you can check our website to get the contact information, and then you'll be directed to the right people there. So short answer is yes, please contact us.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much, Yannick. And I think we are running out of time now. Thank you so much to all the panelists, Mr. Nikolai, Cecile, Yannick, and Hugo for joining us today. Thank you so much for your presentations. That's really interesting. And I hope participants will learn more about the challenges and opportunities of the innovative financing in the agri-fishery sector in Cambodia. Right. Thank you so much. And for the participants, the recorded version of this webinar will be sent to you after we close the webinar, right? Hugo, you raise your hand.
Yes. Thank you, Ratana. I just saw a question in the stream, and I want to clarify one thing about switch to solar project. There was a question asking if we provide subsidies or incentives or matching grants. Switch to solar project, the objective or the philosophy, it's to develop, it's a market-based project to develop the market. So our philosophy is to support the solar technology providers to outreach in a better way to the potential end users, and also to help to raise the awareness of these end users. So we don't provide subsidies as such. What we do, and that's what we are discussing today, it's to facilitate the access to finance. And we do understand, and as Cecile said in her presentation, the upfront cost of solar technology may be high, and that's why we are working and we are trying to engage with solar technology providers and financial institutions to bring these instruments to the market. Our objective is not to subsidize the purchase of the technology, but it's to create these instruments and to develop the market.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Right. Thank you so much for your final remarks as well. So I think we are running out of time now. So thank you so much to our panelists for joining us today, and also the participants. So if you want to learn more about for the Switch to Solar project, please go to our Facebook page or our website. And if you have any questions more regarding the financing from Jomrao Microfinance PLC, please contact Yannick. Yeah. And as I mentioned, we will send the presentations file and the recorded videos to your emails. All right. So stay safe, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ratana.